Hi, welcome back. I'm Dr. Stacia Alexander with another episode of Goals Don't Have Feelings. What a wonderful privilege it is to come to you guys for this special edition of Coronavirus Conversations, talking about the emotionality of coronavirus. In the midst of a pandemic, we have to reach out, talk to one another, embrace one another, teach one another, encourage one another, because these are some troubling times. Through these conversations, my effort is to help us to connect and realize that we are not alone and that there are resources out here for us with a special focus on the emotionality of everything that is happening. As a licensed professional counselor for over 20 years, I've had the responsibility of helping people on a one-to-one basis deal with crisis in their lives. Well, now with this platform, I can actually talk about the emotionality of the crisis. How are we dealing with it? Are we still setting goals? Do we have a plan of action? And how are we going to sustain those goals when sometimes we don't even know what's going to happen the next day? So through these conversations, I hope that we can open up the dialogue and realize that we do have way more options than we originally thought when the country was shut down. If you have the opportunity, I want you to go to my website at www.staciaalexander.com and look at the many things that I have to offer in the way of counseling services. I'm a professional speaker. I'm an author. My husband and I, along with the children, wrote a book called The Balancing Act Family Guide. Some of you all use this right now as you're on lockdown with your families. The book is available for purchase. It's $8 right now. And you can get it on my website or Amazon or even on our family website at alexandersbalancingact.com. Today, I have the opportunity to interview someone that I met online through a social media site when there was a call for mental health professionals. We immediately connected because he also highlights the emotionality of success through his various platforms. I asked him to come on the show to talk about the emotionality of advocacy, helping people with their mental health during the coronavirus. A podcast, he's written a book, he does interviews with other people, and he goes to schools and speaks to young entrepreneurs to give them some insight on what it's truly like to open up a business and run it. So if you stay tuned for my interview with Lanci. So welcome to the show, Ben.
Thank you so much for having me, Stacia. I'm so happy to be here.
It's wonderful. I think it is great how everybody is reaching out and talking with one another. So I'm glad to spend some time with you talking about how people can actually continue to advocate for mental health during this coronavirus pandemic. What do you think?
That's a great idea. I'd love to be a part of it.
So what are you doing so far? I know you have quite a few what I call vectors when it comes to advocacy. Tell us some of the things that you're doing right now.
Yeah, so I'll start you at the beginning of my story. When I was 21 years old, I was the victim of a hit-and-run accident while walking home from a friend's birthday. Coma for about a week, hospital for almost a month, and I wasn't supposed to make it through the night potentially. Then the doubt switched to I'll never walk or talk on my own again. Then I'll never go to school again. And all of these things enabled me to adopt this tell me I can't and I will philosophy, where I learned that expectations are just that, what people expect. They're supposed to be shattered. So I was going to school for finance at the time. I was a senior. My whole life, I thought I wanted this corner office finance job, big salary. And once I got it, and then after this accident, I realized that really wasn't what I wanted most. I do still love the art of finance, predicting cash flows. I love being in the office, but what I love more is making a difference. After my accident, I knew I wanted more out of life. I didn't know what more was. So I said, let me go get my MBA. Let me try to do this. After I finished my finance, I ended up speaking at graduation for about 8,500 people, which is a big gig, big size for my first gig. But I saw the imprint I left on people, the positivity that people found out of my story. So I said, maybe we got something more here. Fast forward, wrote a book after graduate school called Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption. That book is a story of my life and will help anybody reading fully utilize their potential, tap in through the stories and experiences I share. And it resonates with moms who have kids who have been through something. If you've been in the hospital, if you were a student, a parent, everything. So I love that book because it helps you thrive. But I still had to do more. That's what I am. I'm a philanthropist. I want to help people through my businesses. So I created 2 podcast series, one called What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur, where I interview different entrepreneurs to kind of give hope to the future business owners, learn through our successes, our stories, our failures. And then
we connected on that podcast, because everybody knows I like highlighting the emotionality of success. So we're like kindred spirits on that, because not enough people are talking about what it takes to actually be an entrepreneur.
And I just figured, because a lot of things that would have helped me, there's no blueprint for entrepreneurship. You got to figure it out as you go. You got to fail 99 times to get that one. So that was the goal of that. But I also have a mental health break with Vincent A. Lanci because I did suffer a traumatic brain injury. And that's where I realized I really needed to make my mental health and physical health a very high priority. So I go to start breaking down stigmas. You were a great guest on the show, which will be airing very, very soon. And it's just to kind of give people hope, because no one wants to talk about this stuff. Because for a long time we were told, especially as men, mask that emotion, mask that feeling. You're supposed to be a man. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. But I'm happy with the way it's going. I am just really trying to grind it out and provide as much value to people as possible. You're joining me on similar missions, doing your part, which is all it takes everybody to do their part. And, I'm so happy.
Know about it. And okay, so, I work on a college campus and the students have been spread out everywhere. And one of our initiatives with the counseling center was to help remove the stigma of mental health and make it just normal. So we ask the students now, you good? Are you good? You good? So what would you tell these students who have had to leave their college campus, which for a lot of them is a sanctuary? This is where they're able to escape whatever was going on back at home and define who they want to be as adults. What's some advice that you would give them?
Well, I could take you in my personal experiences. I was 21 years old, prime of college. You're waiting for this moment. You're at that point. That's the biggest thing for you. You don't know much about life. You think 21, I can drink. I'm an adult. I get hit by a car my last semester as an undergraduate, and I'm forced to now take myself out of this environment, living on my own, independent, back home. This is when Instagram, you're a senior, you're on watching what your friends are doing. It's tough. But how that relates here is you have to look at it as an opportunity. You're given the gift of time. You're able to accomplish more things, work on yourself, and not worry about the little things that don't matter. This COVID virus should put things in perspective of what's important for you. For me, like I said, I found the gift of time, right? I got the gift of more time because much of life has been on hold. I've uploaded today, will be available in a few days, one-on-one survival guide, how to thrive during a pandemic. It's a book I created because I always want to help people, but I realize that most people aren't okay with being stuck in the house. They're going crazy. They're not being productive. They're off track. So I share my 6 years of entrepreneurship, the experience. I share day-to-day stuff I do, different things I do for health, productivity, and efficiency. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional in that way. I just share my personal experiences. But I also have a great accountability guide in there, a 7-day guide where I ask you to write down your 3 most important goals for the day. Because that's something I do every morning. Before bed, I say, hey, what are the 3 most important things? That way I wake up, I have a plan, I attack. Then I have another 3 goals for the second half of the day. Take my nap or I take a break. What is that? And then I have 3 things you're grateful for each day, a gratuity journal, something I got recommended to me on one of my episodes on a mental health break where she said, hey, why don't you just write down 3 things you're thankful for? Do that for a few days. And all of a sudden, I think you'll realize a few more things that you're thankful for.
Call it my gratitude moment.
Yeah, and it's just enlightening. It's enlightening just because, again, like we spoke about putting your mind on the right things, aligning your vision in this time off, what's important. That's a good way to find out what's really important in your life. And if you're kind of not able to think of things you're grateful for, I think it's time to take a step back and reevaluate because you're breathing. That's one.
Right, exactly. Well, because we have had so much loss. So back in February, I went to a conference for counselors who work on college campuses and was set in on this session where the professional, he's an expert in his field, and I'm going to pull his name to highlight it, but he talked about mental health advocacy, which is a lot of what you do. And of course, that's what I've been doing for my entire adult life. And he explained that there is a difference between being an advocate and an ally. He said that if you have not had personal experiences with mental health challenges or mental health episodes, then you can serve as an ally. But if you have had those challenges or episodes, then you are an advocate. And he was encouraging us to identify ourselves correctly. What do you think about that when I say advocate versus ally?
Well, I could definitely agree with it. We need more allies in general for mental health. We need everybody we can get. I was recommending another episode. It's a community of people we need for this mental health thing. It's not one person can do it. Obviously, my situation, I'm a complete advocate for mental health because I know firsthand of how important it is and how downward you can go in life if you don't attack that personally.
Right.
I would say, my mother could be an advocate because she also was at the hospital with me for a month. Every day she went through it. But allies, someone who roots for it, tries to grow it, make it better. I'm an ally of the New York Jets, for example. I'm not an advocate because I'm not a player or an employee. So I can understand where they're coming from. But to advocate for something, you have to have a personal stake in it, I feel. So that might be where I can agree with that a lot, where you have to have a piece of you in it. You're advocating. Why are you advocating for it? Maybe a friend went through something, so that's why you're an advocate, because it has a personal side to you. But I definitely would agree with you there, Stacia, for sure.
I mean, it really made me think. Of course, I still identify as an advocate, but I think it internalized it even more so because of the experiences I had during my childhood and young adulthood, trying to overcome those things that went on when I was growing up. So I appreciated his perspective on it. And another reason I went to his session was because I've been advocating for mental health from a minority perspective, really trying to change the dialogue in our community so that Black and brown people will embrace mental health services. Well, meeting you and meeting him, I realized that this is not an issue of color. It's not that people of color are not accessing it. It's that we, period, as human beings, are not really embracing how much of an impact our mental health has on everything in our lives.
You're right. I mean, you have to share your story. Everybody's got a story, right? Everybody's got a journey. Everybody's got a path. No one knows, like on the podcast for entrepreneurs, I have everything from finance professionals in their own businesses that open their own firms to restaurant owners to models, because any perspective you can get in life, you don't know how well that's going to help you. I mean, I share my story like that because if I can speak in front of a 200-person crowd and one little kid comes up to me and shakes my hand, he says, "Vincent, thank you so much," that's worth it. I hear that. I've heard that before, communities of color with the mental health stigma, but I also hear that with men of color as well. And men not of color. I don't believe it's a color thing. I think it's just for a long time, we were misguided in this nation to how to respond to mental health, right? You have an ACL, you have a 3-month injury. I don't know if I'm not a doctor or anything. So you have an injury, you have a healing. You're going through depression, you have a little healing too. You're going through some anxiety.
Right.
Disabled list too. You're getting healthy and then you're going back to the sports. You're going back in the game.
Right.
Why aren't we not looking at these injuries equally? Why is physical health so much more okay than mental health when the brain runs the whole caboose, runs the whole thing? The whole caboose is run off your brain. Why are we not respecting the brain?
Right.
You take care of your teeth. You get a dentist appointment. You're not going to take care of you're not going to see a therapist. Why? What? Why? Why?
So this is my elevator speech. I ask people, I said, do you have a physician that you see once a year? What about the optometrist? And do you have your dentist that you go see twice a year? And a lot of us have barbers and beauticians. So we might be doing it ourselves during coronavirus, but I need to get into my beautician for my color. So why is it that our hair is more important than our mental health? What's going on? Like, why do we spend more time on other things?
It was so frowned upon for so long, where people in the workplace aren't talking about they have mental health disparities because they don't want to get fired. People aren't talking about their mental health because there's so many negative parts of it. There's pieces that, if you look at it as a puzzle, it's still here. But up until maybe 2-3 years ago in the mental health world, that puzzle was still in the box.
Right.
So we're doing our thing. It's going to take time.
Right.
And we
definitely made some strides. You have way more people embracing mental health, so let's do something. Let's just break it up a little bit, have a little fun. I'm a visual kind of person. So if you're game, I want to put up a celebrity's name and you tell me your first thoughts about the diagnosis that is on there and kind of how you're receiving it. You ready?
I'm loving it. Let's do it.
Excellent. All right. So I'm going to go with the first one. Demi Lovato with depression. What are your first thoughts?
I remember this one was very public. I believe she was a Disney star at one point or something, childhood, and the fan base she has because of that role. When something like this happens, I think it was a drug overdose or something was the most recent story with her, which is unfortunate because, I mean, when you're in that celebrity limelight, I know there's tons of temptations for sure. But what I find admirable about it is, she got help, right? She saw that she was at a rock bottom area where she got help. And she used her voice to leverage the awareness. These people have 1 million, 10 million, 20 million followers. They don't realize how much impact they have on youth.
Right.
They're looking up to them. If they see you saying it's okay to talk about depression,
exactly.
maybe they'll get help for their depression. They won't be in a life filled of musking their feelings and not getting the help they need. They need to know it's okay to talk. you are not alone. And I think it's a great example of, even though someone looks like they're healthy from the outside, they may not be on the inside too.
Right. Okay, so look at the next one. Here we go. Let's go with the next one. We have Kanye West with bipolar disorder.
Another great example. Thank you for sharing. I mean, I obviously don't approve of all the crazy things he does, but when you delve into why he's doing the crazy stuff, I find out why with the mental health disparity. He's another one using his platform to make it known that people do have these disparities. It is okay to speak about. So I do enjoy that. I mean, he does a lot of things that I wouldn't do as far as with the media, but, you know, as an entrepreneur himself, he branches out his wings. So I respect that aspect with the shoes. He finds a way to sell these shoes for so much money that it's like
Are you talking about the ones that just released about a month ago?
Yeezy thing. I mean, I've never been in the position to buy them. I also got out of that phase, you know, a long time ago. I like the Jordans, all these great shoes, and I realized that that money can go towards my business, my bills, my health. So I stopped doing that. But I mean, the man with the Kardashian tie, you know, he has a huge platform, and I just think that the more he makes it explainable why he maybe some of these actions he took with this mental health disparity is
don't you? Okay, so let's stay there for a minute, because with Kanye, like, I totally embrace him being actually, you know, disclosing, hey, I do have bipolar disorder. However, what I don't see, and it could be because I don't follow him closely, is that he never explains this was an episode. Like what you saw right here was an episode. This right here, this is where I'm balanced out, but that was an episode. And not necessarily to use it as an excuse, but to, again, explain that right there, that was out of my baseline. Like, you see me acting like that, because a lot of people, when they see his following, when they see him in those episodes, that's actually what they're identifying with. That's what they like.
And that's like what I was identifying with, because granted, if he did take that extra step further to delve into exactly and spell it out, there's probably a million people doing the same thing, going through the same exact issue from the same community or same mindset. Something needs to change. But like I said, with the Kardashian tie, you know, there's a lot of, I don't know.
Kardashians.
And I don't know what's, you know, I would love to hear an authentic taste of it, not through, you know, twists with other celebrities of him tied to being married to Kim Kardashian. I think it's Kim Kardashian, one of them. But, you know, I want to hear honesty. I want to hear honesty, like you're saying. I want to hear honesty.
But let me say this. He was behaving like this before the Kardashians. So it's not all of them. You're right. Yeah, he was acting like that before. Yeah, I started seeing sign, like, I didn't realize it because he really is a genius, a lyrical genius.
Oh, yeah. If you listen to his old raps.
Yeah, he really is. And so back then, and I don't follow anybody closely, let me say that. But back then, I did see, after his mom passed, I felt like that, I think that she was one of his stabilizing forces. That if he got too far out of the pocket, she was the one that could look at him in his eyes and say, hey, sit down somewhere. So yeah, it was going on. Okay, so what about this next one? Jim Carrey with anxiety.
Love this one because I've spotlighted Jim Carrey's story. I've looked into this, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Demi Lovato. This is a guy who I grew up with, made you laugh. Him, Adam Sandler, they were my guys. Martin Lawrence, growing up, laugh. It's hard to imagine, right? Someone like this having these internal issues. Someone who's always laughing, making you laugh, comedic attitude. You know, genuine guy to laugh at. And he's talking about a lot of deep issues that he looks at the world differently now, before in a simplistic manner. And he found that these things don't matter. People think money and all these things cure all these problems, and they don't. So, a very interesting story, because Jim is a guy who always made people laugh. And his legacy, when he passes away, one day he'll have these movies and people will look into him like this. He also is using his platform to such an extent where it's inspiring. It's inspiring to me, because he's going out there and talking about his stuff. Why can't I?
Exactly. One person I read about last week and had no idea was Andre 3000 from Outkast. I read an article doing research, and he actually has high levels of anxiety, so much so that it has paralyzed him in terms of creativity. He's not willing to experience that level of anxiety by putting music out. Because it puts him in such a bad headspace. So it's real. It can be debilitating. And I think the more celebrities talk about it, the more we who are sitting at home going through our daily routines realize it's not about how much money you have. It's not about how much freedom you have to move around, that there are some things that some of us are going to deal with and we need to get help for it.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes back to each of us sharing our story, doing our part. You don't have to be diagnosed as depressed to have a bad day. That doesn't make you depressed. There just needs to be more story so we can resonate. When someone goes through a similar story, they can just turn on YouTube or whatever the platform may be and just listen and be like, all right, that's not so bad after all. Because sometimes it takes one person just to get out of your head. You're your own worst enemy half the time, right? And now you hear it from someone, especially with a celebrity who's got that platform that they're on stage looking up to these guys, and now it's just you come back to a more humane level.
Right. You see the humanity of them. That's what I always say, the humanity.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, you're doing a great job doing your advocacy work. Why don't you tell us where we can find you, and especially where they can locate the new book that you have coming out about how to really be, I guess, productive during, or stay consistent during the coronavirus.
I do a service because of my philanthropic views where I can help people in this situation. So what I do, I put my head down for a week or two and I got this book done. It's called a one-on-one survival guide, how to thrive during a pandemic, 1:1. It's going to be on Amazon. And that will delve into health, productivity, and efficiency. All practices I use, I've been doing for 6 years as an entrepreneur. It has an accountability journal in there to keep you on track. And I'm really proud of that because I know how many people are not mentally okay because of which they're stuck in the house. They don't know what to do. This book will help you. My other books, Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption, we touched on it earlier. If you haven't picked up a copy of that yet, pick it up and DM me or email me at Vincent A. Lanci on all social media and YouTube and let me know what you think. I'd love to chat about it. Another special project I am working on is with your son, Stacia. We're creating a book for entrepreneurs, grades 3 to 6, because there's no books that teach kids that there are more options if you believe in yourself. There's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. I've had a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with a steady paycheck. But some people aren't built like that. Some people are built differently, and that's okay. So I want to kind of give the kids an idea of you can believe in yourself and anything's possible. Look what I have all these entrepreneurs in the book talking about characteristics and roles like marketing, finance, how you wear all these hats, and then different jobs where you can be your own boss and introduce kids to business. Because I think it's very important where in elementary school, even in high school, they didn't teach me how to write a check. They didn't teach me the basics. They just teach you all these things, geometry, calculus. Granted, some professions do use all these skills. I'm aware of that. But there should be money management courses and stress reduction courses and stigma reduction courses. And now I'm trying to get this book in there, push it to the schools. And that way, when I go speak to these schools anyway, now I can sit down and read them this book that we put together and just introduce you to the ideas of that anything is possible. Don't let someone tell you can't do it. Because if I listen to everybody that told me get back to the workforce, this, that, yeah, granted, you hit lows. There's highs and lows of financially. You can't have everything, but you've given yourself, I've been doing this, like I said, 6, almost 7 years being an entrepreneur, and I haven't even scratched the surface. How much hard work to not even scratch the surface? The podcast series, the books, the speaking engagement, it's never enough because you always have to work harder than the person next to you. There's always someone else doing more than you. You want to get content, you want to go hang out with your friends, just think. A great quote from Kobe Bryant when he passed away. Don't stop halfway through. Rest when it's over.
Yeah, you got to
finish. Take your breaks. And my book talks about the survival guide, mental health breaks, how you can create longevity in your life and your skills and your work if you take the right breaks and you work with your mental health, take exercise, take meditation seriously. So I'm really, really excited to positively help a lot of people with that book. I'm really, really looking forward to getting it published or through the review phase of Amazon because I want to help people because I see some roommates and I see friends and I see people just not themselves because of the situation. Granted, there's a lot of paranoia, which creates more paranoia, and we all know that. But as far as their everyday life, not even financially, just being stuck in the house, for me, I don't even see outside. I go outside to get fresh air in my backyard. I take one of my mental health breaks, take a walk, but I don't get in my car every day.
Right.
And I want to teach people that's okay.
That's the benefit of people who do advocacy like you is that we realize that it doesn't stop just because the country has shut down. That there is still
time, Stacia. You got the gift of time. Take advantage because once the world starts again, you're playing catch up with a lot of things. Everybody's gonna be freaking out, dying to get out of the house, dying to spend money again. Are you gonna be prepared to make that money? Are you gonna be prepared to?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm just really blessed that I've been able to find the light, and I mean, as an entrepreneur, you need the economy to be running to make money or no one's buying your services.
Right.
But in the meantime, what can I do? I can get these 2 books on the way. I can prepare my podcast another couple of weeks out. For mental health, I've got 2 months of inventory now. My entrepreneur, I've got almost a month of inventory. I've really just been grinding because this time isn't video game, everything. Yeah, in moderation, everything's okay.
Right.
Everything's okay. You want to have a beer once in a while? Sure. Doesn't mean to be an alcoholic. You want to have a piece of pizza once in a while? Sure. Doesn't mean you should eat a whole pie of pizza.
Right.
Now, I'm trying to be positive and spread the positivity to people that you can do it if I can. Right. I've been battling this uphill journey for 7 years after this traumatic brain injury. My short-term memory has just been coming back after 6 years. This last year, I've been working myself so hard. I think I'm stimulating thoughts, but it takes patience. It takes time. Just believe in yourself. Use this period to help the people who need it most. Just because you're doing okay does not mean everybody is doing okay. Check in with your friend, call people. Use this time to catch up on things that you haven't had the time to catch up on. That website, those phone calls to, family members, whatever. Just do you and make yourself happy. That's my advice. Make yourself happy.
Right. That's good. That's good stuff. Thank you, Ben, for joining me. I'm looking forward to continued work and being allies with one another in this trip on mental health advocacy because it's needed. The voices are needed. So I'm glad we met. It was just amazing. Just one little Facebook tag created a big.
But you have to put yourself in the game to win the game, right? Now look at all the things we've accomplished together. We have our connection to my podcast, your show now, your son in my book, right? The work we're going to do in the school start open up with you. We have so much to look forward to, and it's all from taking risks, not being scared, and getting out of your comfort zone. No one wants to message people they don't know, but what's the worst that happens?
Right.
They say no or don't answer, and your life does not change. On to the next chance. Put yourself out there, be positive, make it happen because sky is the limit. Like I said before, I'm 6 years into this, maybe 7 almost, and I'm just scratching the surface, and I have a couple books and 20 gigs or so and all these things, and the work's only just begun. Challenge yourself. Don't be content. Don't be content.
Right. Well, all righty. You enjoy yourself. Stay safe. I know you will. You're very well aware of safety concerns during this coronavirus pandemic, but I appreciate you joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Stacia. I really appreciate the opportunity to put me on the show. It's an honor, and have a great, great day. I can't wait to connect again soon.
All righty. Take care. There you have it, everyone. Make sure you follow Ben on all of his social media handles. And when you're done doing that, make sure you've liked mine on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, SoundCloud, and here on Facebook. And please like, share, comment, and even start a watch party because I have even more coronavirus conversations coming to open up the dialogue about the emotionality of the coronavirus. Thank you for joining me this evening. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you all again. This is Dr. Stacia Alexander with Goals Don't Have Feelings.